Which 10 players do you need to be stashing on your Dynasty teams heading in to preseason week 2? We're talking about that in today's video. Give us a like and subscribe. We are 2 subscribers away from 500. Help us get there with this video. We're talking about 10 players today that I think you Dynasty players, these are deep Dynasty stashes, but players that I potentially think you should be adding onto your teams as we head into week 2 of the preseason, which starts tonight, August 15th. There's a game, and then most of the games are played on Saturday. So you do have some time to do this. These are players that I think value could continue to creep up slowly, just given the usage based on the preseason games. Now, it's never a good idea to overreact too much to preseason, but I think something that we need to pay attention to is usage and how players are being used in formations, who's kind of having the path towards a starting job and who's not. So we're starting off today's video with Jaylen Tolbert, who I still can't believe is still barely in the top 100 of wide receivers. At wide receiver 94, according to Keep Trade Cut. And I don't really understand this. He's moved up a bit, but only 7 spots in the last 30 days. Cowboys are telling you, and they're telling us, that Jaylen Tolbert is an important piece of their offense. He's the wide receiver 3 for this offense because they didn't play him in the week 1 game. They sat him. They sat Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott, Brandon Cooks, Jake Ferguson, Jaylen Tolbert. What are they telling you? Well, they're telling you these are the guys that we know are starting on our offense. We don't need to see these guys. We know what they're going to do. He's a third-year player, former third-round pick for the Dallas Cowboys. And you just think about the Cowboys in general. They have CeeDee Lamb, who's amazing. And then they have Brandon Cooks, who is a solid player. But let's be real with this. The guy's going to be 31 and near the beginning of the year. He's looked a little bit older over the last couple of seasons. And then, they have Jake Ferguson, obviously, but they don't have anything else. Like Jaylen Tolbert could be the wide receiver 3/2 for one of the best offenses in the NFL. And CeeDee Lamb's holding out. CeeDee Lamb is holding out. And what if he holds out to start the year? Even if it's for a few weeks, Jaylen Tolbert is going to be a big contributor for this team. He's going to have to be. And even if CeeDee Lamb, we're getting to the point now, it's August 15th. Even if CeeDee Lamb comes back in like 10 days, he may not be ready for week 1 because, we don't want to get him hurt and things like that. I'm really surprised that Jaylen Tolbert is still potentially out on a lot of waiver wires and barely just a top 100 wide receiver. Next up for you, I have Craig Reynolds. Craig Reynolds has established himself. He's been on the Lions, I think, for at least 2 years. This might be his 3rd year. This is his 4th year, heading into his 4th year with the Lions. He's established himself as the RB3. He's holding on to the RB3. Reynolds played every snap for the Lions in the first 3 drives, obviously with Gibbs being injured and Montgomery sitting. So to me, like, the only guy that you can really that's a threat for Craig Reynolds is the rookie in Sione Vaki. But it's other guys below him, Jamar Jefferson, Zonovan Knight, Jake Funk. These are players that have been on the Lions before, and Reynolds is still ahead of them. They're not going to pass him up. Considering that Jahmyr Gibbs has a hamstring injury, which I hope he's ready for to start the year, if anything happens to these either Montgomery or Jahmyr Gibbs, Craig Reynolds is going to get a little bit of run. You look at a couple of the games last year that either Montgomery or Gibbs missed, and Craig Reynolds had a game with 60% of the snaps. He had a game with 45% of the snaps. They're going to use him because they use multiple running backs. It's one of the best rushing teams in the NFL, one of the best offenses in the NFL. Like Craig Reynolds, it's a pretty clear path to him being fantasy relevant. I hope it doesn't happen. I don't want Montgomery or Gibbs getting hurt, but there's a clear path here. One of those guys goes down, and it's probably going to be Craig Reynolds that's going to step up. So he needs to be rostered. He's currently RB124 on Keep Trade Cut. Eric Gray is another one. Now, he's all the way up at RB70, so he might be rostered. He was a rookie last year, so people still might be holding on to him. The Tyrone Tracy injury, which we all thought, potentially he died, and from how they were reporting it, carted off the field, air cast, heading to the hospital. and then you find out he has like an ankle sprain. But he may miss some time. I don't know if it's a high ankle sprain, if it's a low ankle sprain, not sure. He did avoid the serious injury. But that being said, he's a rookie, Tyrone Tracy, who's now not going to be there during and practicing. He's going to miss some time, and that could set him back and drop him to third on the depth chart with Eric Gray taking over as the number 2 guy behind Devin Singletary. And Eric Gray looked good in the preseason game. Now it was against, the backups, third stringers and stuff, but he did look good. And, Devin Singletary is a good running back, but they might be inclined to use multiple guys. I think Eric Gray still needs to be stashed heading into week 2 of the preseason. DJ Chark, I've been kind of ignoring this one incorrectly. I've been kind of ignoring it. And I think it's a big mistake that the path for DJ Chark to be fantasy relevant is pretty clear. The path for him being relevant is Ladd McConkey gets injured, who he's already injured. I'm not sure if he's back at practice or not, but he's a rookie who's already injured. That's going to set him back. And Josh Palmer getting injured. And Josh Palmer has been injured his entire career. He missed, I shouldn't say that. He played in 17 games his rookie year. He only missed 1 game in 2022, but he missed 7 games last year. The path for DJ Chark to be fantasy relevant, and to me, he's the clear X receiver for this team, is actually, it's there. I see it. I really do see it. It's gross. I don't want to see it happen, but like all it takes is McConkey or Palmer to go down, and DJ Chark's going to be relied on. Even if those guys don't go down, DJ Chark's going to be out there a lot because he's going to play that X receiver spot. So he's going to be out there. He's going to be up there with Palmer with the most routes run on this team. So it was pretty clear with how they were using him. Quentin Johnson's nowhere near DJ Chark. I think DJ Chark's your X receiver for the Chargers. And honestly, I think this team's going to throw the ball a little bit more than we think. There's a clear path for DJ Chark to be fantasy relevant. Gerald Everett, the former Charger. Gerald Everett is seemingly the tight end 1 for the Chicago Bears. Now, we're not super excited about the tight end 1 for the Chicago Bears because they have DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze, DeAndre Swift there, a rookie quarterback. All those things, you're potentially 4th or 5th target on the team with a rookie quarterback. But tight ends are always going to get something, right? You're never going to have, I think the lowest teams have a percentage of targets going to tight ends is like 13%. And that's pretty low, but there's still something. Like, it's not just, well, we never throw to our tight ends, or your tight ends, no matter who they are going to get some targets. Gerald Everett started above Cole Kmet in the preseason game. Now, I know it's a preseason game. Again, I know it is, and I shouldn't overreact, but teams usually show their formation, show their guys, who's on the first team, who's on the second team with the preseason, at least what they're leaning towards. That could change, of course, and Cole Kmet is a solid player, but I'm starting to worry that Cole Kmet's not the tight end 1, and here's another reason why. Shane Waldron, who's the Bears offensive coordinator, was with the Los Angeles Rams from 2017 to 2020. Shane Waldron, offensive coordinator of the Bears, was with the Los Angeles Rams from 2017 to 2020 as their tight ends coach and passing game coordinator. And in 2021, he went to Seattle to be their offensive coordinator. Guess who was the tight end the 4 seasons with LA and the 1 season he was with Seattle? It was Gerald Everett. So literally his 5 years as a tight ends coach, passing game coordinator, Shane Waldron, he's had an offensive coordinator. He's had Gerald Everett on his team. What does that tell you? Gerald Everett fits his system and what he wants to do. He does. He just does. So there's some smoke here, and I think it could lead to fire here. Fire in the sense of like a solid, Gerald Everett's had some solid stretches in his career where he's been, okay, this guy can catch the ball and he's an athletic tight end. So Tim Patrick, and he's all the way down at tight end 47. Like, you may be able to pick him up off the waiver wire. Tight end, wide receiver 158, Tim Patrick. Tim Patrick came out in preseason week 1, and it looked like obviously Cortland Sutton was the top receiver, and then it was Tim Patrick. It wasn't Marvin Mims. It wasn't Josh Reynolds. It wasn't Lil Jordan Humphrey. It wasn't Troy Franklin. It was Tim Patrick. It was Cortland Sutton and Tim Patrick. Josh Reynolds came in on 3 wide receiver sets. So Tim Patrick, it might be the wide receiver 2 for this team, might be playing a lot and running a lot of routes. Bo Nix looked good in preseason. Again, it's preseason. But there's potential here with, like, I know he's had a couple major injuries and, like, it's the same old with Tim Patrick, but if they're going to give him the wide receiver 2 spot, like, we've seen him be successful in the past, a couple back-to-back 750-yard seasons, 6 touchdowns, 5 touchdowns, 50-catch seasons. Like, he could have stretches where he's fantasy relevant. Tim Patrick, pick him up again, because if they are going to make it clear who their starting wide receivers are after week 2 of the preseason, and Tim Patrick could be that guy. Tyler Goodson, all the way down to RB 106. Obviously, we know him from dropping that 4th down pass in the playoff. Was it in the playoffs or in the to get to the playoffs? Tough on him. The reason why I bring him up is he seems like he's the RB3 for this team right now. And that's significant because Trey Sermon went down with an injury in the preseason game, in their first preseason game. And we don't know how serious that is. I think it was a hamstring injury. Yeah, it was a hamstring injury. Hamstring injuries can nag, man. They can nag for weeks, especially for running backs and receivers. They can nag and nag and nag and take you out for a lot of time. And especially if you don't want to come back and re-aggravate it and have it be a problem all year long. So, if it's a serious hamstring injury, we could be talking about Tyler Goodson as the RB2 behind Jonathan Taylor, and every RB2 needs to be rostered. So now, do they bring someone in? Possibly. Do they like Evan Hall more? Maybe. Like, it's not a lock that Tyler Goodson's the clear-cut number 2 back, and whether, if JT goes down, it's all going to be Tyler Goodson. Probably not. But, the team seems to kind of like the guy. He has good, decent size at 5'10", 200. We saw, I think, a game there when JT and Zach Moss were out. He had 11 carries for 70 yards. So there's that, But my point is, if he's the RB2, we need to be rostering him. Cedric Wilson, all the way down to wide receiver 162. I'm not as convinced on this one. I just think he's going to be – I've been talking about it all offseason. Who's going to be the wide receiver 3 for the Saints? And by wide receiver 3, I mean who's going to play that X position. I think it's going to be Olave as like kind of that movable piece. Shaheed is going to play on the slot and the outside. Who's going to be that third guy to come in for the Saints? I was hoping it was A.T. Perry. A.T. Perry had an injury setback. Seems like it's going to be Cedric Wilson. Again, we've seen Cedric Wilson. He's 30 years old. No, sorry, he's not 30 years old. Give me 1 second here. He's 28 years old. He's been in the league since 2019. His best season is 45 catches for 602 yards. But if you remember his last season in Dallas in 2021, he was actually looking pretty good. 45 catches, 600 yards, 6 touchdowns, got a decent contract in Miami, and we were all excited. And then Miami brought in Tyreek Hill, and then that kind of killed that, and he did nothing in Miami. So, he's a talented player. I think he's a little bit more talented than what we've seen from him in the last couple of years, but you can't get too excited about the wide receiver 3 for the Saints. Johnny Muntz. Johnny Muntz is currently not even ranked in Keep Trade Cut for tight ends. Just give you a reference there. There's 77 tight ends that are ranked, and Johnny Muntz is not even on the list, which means no one's thinking about this guy. I think Johnny Muntz is he's their tight end, their receiving tight end when Hawkinson's out. I think it's Muntz because and Hawkinson could be out for the entire first half of the season. His role, Johnny Muntz, that is, his role in the first drive was exactly what Hawkinson's was last year. He played in 11 personnel, so that's 1 tight end. He was out there with 1 tight end and 12 personnel. And then Josh Oliver played in only 12 personnel and 21 personnel. Okay, so it's exactly the role. 21 personnel is 2 running backs and a tight end. 12 personnel, 1 running back, 11 personnel is 1 running back, 1 tight end. So essentially, Johnny Muntz was playing the Hawkinson role in preseason. What Hawkinson was playing last year during the year, is what Johnny Muntz was doing in the preseason. So I think Johnny Muntz is going to be the receiving tight end for these Minnesota Vikings. And Jordan Addison, he went down with an injury. They don't think it's serious, but could get suspended. Like there needs to be a third receiver here. And like a third receiving option. And if you look at Johnny Muntz last year when Parkinson went down, Johnny Muntz had 7 targets, 4 catches, 39 yards, and a touchdown. 6 catches, 50 yards, 58 yards. 6 catches, 6 targets, 5 catches, 58 yards. Those are like low-end tight end 1 numbers, guys. 4 catches for 40 yards and a touchdown, 5 catches for 60 yards. Those are low-end tight end 1 numbers. That's how bad the position is. This team's going to throw the ball a lot. They just showed it in preseason. I think Johnny Muntz, like a sneaky, no one expected this to happen. Also, I didn't put him on here, but Jalen Nailor also needs to be rostered. He seems to be the clear-cut wide receiver 3 for this team as well. And again, that's significant because 1, they're a good offensive scheme with that's going to pass the ball a lot. So if Jefferson goes down or Addison goes down, then you could have a path towards fantasy relevancy there. Addison did go down with an injury. They don't think it's serious. He could get suspended, but Jalen Nailor, I think, is going to be the wide receiver 3 for this team. So keep that in mind. Last one here is Colby Parkinson. Colby Parkinson is I think the Rams tight end 1 while Higbee's out. Higbee was in the playoff game, tore his ACL apart. He got hit low, had the knee bent backwards type of thing. Higbee's not going to be playing at least until mid-October, in my opinion. Colby Parkinson seems to be the tight end 1 for him because the Rams, what they do is they rest their starters. They always rest their starters. They had Stetson Bennett literally play the entire game. They don't put their starters out there ever. They did this with Puka Nacua last year. He played preseason week 1. He looked good. They say, okay. And then they benched him, right? We'll see if they do that with my boy, Jordan Whittington. But Colby Parkinson was not out there. He was not out there. Including Matthew Stafford, Kyron Williams, Blake Corum, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, Demarcus Robinson, Tutu Atwell. That's the Rams saying, we know what we have with you guys. Stafford's our QB1. Kyron and Corum, RB1, RB2. We'll teach you. We don't need to see you in action. You're already the RB1, RB2. Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, Demarcus Robinson, Tutu Atwell. You're 1, 2, 3, 4 right now, right? Colby Parkinson, they also sat him. You're our tight end 1. That's what they're saying. And trust me, guys, I know Colby Parkinson, you look at his stat page and you're like, why do I want this guy? His best season is 25 catches for 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. Trust me, Colby Parkinson, if he is out there in the Higbee role, is going to basically do what Tyler Higbee did last year. He's basically going to do. And that's not exciting. That's not sexy. What it basically is 50 catches for 500, 600 yards and hopefully 5 touchdowns. That's what it is at the best. That's going to be enough to get by. I won a tight end premium Dynasty League last year. Tight end premium, have you? I won that, and I started Higbee every single week except for their bye week. And I won because tight ends, guys, unless they're the top tier guys, they kind of don't matter unless you have a huge tight end +2 tight end premium or something. They kind of don't matter. And so Colby Parkinson could be one of those guys you get sneaky value with. So there you have it, guys. Those are 10, kind of 11 with Jalen Nailor, guys that I think you should be stashing in your Dynasty rosters before we head into preseason week 2. I'll be putting out another one of these videos heading into week 3. Appreciate you all. Help us get to 500. 2 away. Like and subscribe. See you all in the next video.